This is probably one of the most important videos I've ever made on this channel, and I'm probably ever going to make on this channel, because I want to talk about something that's like super, super important to me. If you've been following for a short time or a long time, you know that we love nerdy content here. Big fan of all things nerdy, the TCGs, the RPGs, all of it. Give it to me. I want every little nerdy thing out there. And I also think that like everyone's a nerd on some level, whether it's a fantasy football nerd or a Star Wars nerd, we're all nerdy. But something you might not know about me is that not only am I a nerd, but I'm actually also a pastor. And I've started to notice something more and more in the last several years that makes me want to do something about it. And the thing that I've noticed is the church does not do like a great 10 out of 10 job at caring for nerds well. Now, there are some places that are caring for nerds really, really well, and that's awesome. But as a whole, it seems like there's not as many people who are passionate about this space and are actively doing something about it. Nerd culture is huge. It's everywhere. It's at comic book conventions, it's at local game stores, it's at Ren fairs these days. It's a huge group of people, and I'm worried that the church is not necessarily on purpose, but starting to leave them behind. Part of the reason they're doing that is because, for the most part, they've decided that their hobbies are dumb, they're a waste of time, that video games don't matter, and that even some of their things are actively evil. When the reality is, when I look at the Bible and when I follow Jesus, I don't think that those things line up with how he calls us to live. I don't think RPGs are evil. I don't think trading card games are evil. As a matter of fact, I think they're wonderful expressions of the human parts of us that love storytelling and adventure and love it when good triumphs over evil. And all of those things I feel like are God's idea anyway. These nerdy spaces do a great job of creating community and culture and a support system for all the nerds that like to go there. I mean, that's why they keep going. I mean, come on, Magic the Gathering is literally built around the idea that gathering with your friends to play this game is a pivotal part of it. But I feel like most churches don't really understand these spaces. They don't really know how much rich community is there. And so they do a lot of other things, and those things are good, like sports ministries and music ministries, and these are all good things. I like them. But there's a big group of people that like that's not their thing, that this is their thing. And these are the people that I don't think anyone's talking to. Or maybe I shouldn't say anyone, but the majority of people that I come in contact with in my work environments probably don't also frequent the local game store. Here's the first time I really picked up on this. Now, if I had a huge production budget and a system, I could hire a team to really recreate this story bar for bar. But since I don't have that, I'm gonna have to get a little bit creative, but I think I have an idea of how to tell this part of the story, because it starts with me in the back of an Uber, which means I'm gonna need a little bit of help.
So like I said, I don't really have a big production team. I kind of just have me and whatever you can see really behind me. But what I do have is a couple of friends and Fortnite. So I recruited my friend, Cookie2200, who is a pastor, by the way, as well. And he is going to help me simulate that very night those few years ago. All right, baby driver, do your thing. Let me set the stage for you. The city is Orlando, and I'm at a pastor's conference, right? And this is one of the biggest pastor's conference in the U.S. because it's really targeted specifically to the type of pastor who wants to like plant churches and continuously plant churches. And they had some evening events planned. They do like mixer things, and one of them was Topgolf. And most of the people on my team wanted to go to Topgolf, and I can't even remember how or why, but I had just done Topgolf like a month before that. Also, I am not a golfer. That's not my jam. So I'm in the back of this Uber, a lot like this, and you know, the scenery was a little different, but the Uber driver starts chatting with me as Uber drivers do, giving me the old, how's it going? What are you in town for? And so I told him, yeah, I'm in town for this pastor's conference. And so one of the things he mentions to me is, oh, yep, I've been driving pastors around all day, to and from hotels, to and from restaurants. And see, here's the real thing, is where I was headed was different than any of these other pastors. You see, because I didn't want to do Topgolf, I wanted to go do something that I enjoy and I like to doing. So I went on a little bit of a comic book store, local game store crawl, if you will. I found a couple of the coolest looking ones in Orlando. I just started hitting them up, and so on my way to my first stop, this Uber driver says this to me. He says, I've been driving pastors around all day, but I think you're the first one I've driven to a comic book store. And yeah, this is just funny, lighthearted chat, but one of the things, for whatever reason, that really stuck with me. And I couldn't get that out of my head. The fact of the matter is, it made me question between 5,000, maybe 6,000 different pastors at this conference. Was I the only one nerdy enough to go to one of these types of places? Was I the only one nerdy enough to find myself in this type of environment?
And there you have it. That's the story of that first part of me that really started to wonder, what would it look like to really chase after nerd ministry and what that looks like. Now, one thing I want to clarify is when it comes to nerd ministry, I don't think it's going to change anything on this platform and this channel, at least for me, not anytime soon. I don't think this is going to be the channel to go to get nerdy devotionals or online sermons or things like that. If you want that, I can direct you to the people that are doing that, because they're doing some amazing job. They're doing an amazing job doing that, and I don't think, at least right now, that's not what I'm called to do. I want to meet the basic needs of nerds, and a lot of my content is educational for nerds to learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons or Magic the Gathering, or it just showcases how much fun it is to be a nerd with some of our D&D actual plays, or even some of the video games we get up to every now and again. But I don't think that this is the place to build like an online church or a nerdy church environment. At least that's not what I feel called to right now. I do feel called to do ministry in the nerdy environment in a different way though. Most of my ministry experience has come from being a youth pastor, because I think kids are great. I think students are awesome. And I want to help cultivate youngling nerds to help them and teach them how to be their nerdy selves. Teaching them things like Dungeons and Dragons and how to play Magic the Gathering and Pokemon trading card collecting and battling and all the fun things. I think it's great to meet the basic needs of nerds and create environments for them to just be their nerdy selves. And yeah, I do this from a place knowing that I think that's what Jesus would want me to do. And if we can love all nerds in this area and just treat them with kindness and respect and compassion, I'm planting my flag on the hill that says eventually a Jesus conversation will probably come up. Maybe it's prompted, maybe it's unprompted, but no matter which way you cut it, I'm pretty sure that you can't do these things, have this much fun, talk about this much truth without the topic of Jesus coming up. So I want to create these spaces in an after-school program setting where a student can walk into an after-school program environment and it feels like a D&D tavern where they can order a pint of root beer or ginger ale or maybe some other fun nerdy drinks that they enjoy. But when they sit down, they go, this is my space. This is my home. I'm safe here. I'm comfortable here. And I can just be myself. And that's what we're going to try to achieve in those environments. And yeah, it's going to cost money eventually, and maybe you'll see fundraising things come through this channel, but that's where I'm pouring my time and energy into the physical, real life locations to do that type of thing and serve nerds in that way. But this online platform probably just going to stick to things like Magic the Gathering and other nerdy environments as well. But why does it matter? I think it matters because while nerd ministry is still a new thing and there are some really cool people doing nerd ministry, Lux Digital Church, Love Thy Nerd, big cool groups of coordinated people that are doing these awesome things. But I want to add to the ranks. I want to be a nerd in this space and let other nerds know that Jesus thinks you're awesome. Jesus made you on purpose and for a purpose. I actually think nerds are Jesus's favorite. Now, I can't prove that, and I'm pretty sure it's not in the Bible, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But all this to say, if you're here and you've stuck through this whole video this long and you're a nerd of any kind, I just want to say I'm glad you're here, Maybe you dig the content, maybe you don't. Maybe you want to talk about spiritual things, and maybe you don't. I'd love to have those conversations with you. I'll never turn them away, and maybe it's something that we can walk through together. If you have questions, I'll do my best to answer them. Even if I'm not the smartest guy in the world, I'd love to have the conversation with you. But all that to say, if you're a nerd and you want to be in this space, that's fantastic. If you're already a Jesus follower, can I ask one thing of you? Be very careful how you talk and treat people in this space. I think what makes nerd ministry so difficult sometimes is, as a majority, we, the church, have not done a great job of caring for nerds. Nerds have been hurt, nerds have been burned, nerds have been told that their hobby is stupid and that what they like to do is evil and that they're going to hell. But if we really are Jesus followers, we should be treating everyone with kindness and compassion and empathy and coming alongside them. So if you're in the comments section or the chat, please represent Jesus well. Please do that. I ask because if you don't, we're just adding to the numbers of people who are misrepresenting who Jesus is and misrepresenting the fact that he created every nerd on purpose and for a purpose. So I'll get off my soapbox now and just get back to making more nerdy content like I like to do. But if you're still here, again, thanks for coming along for the ride. And I think I've said everything I wanted to say here. And then maybe I'll have more to say later. I don't know. I'm still new to this. But as far as I know, I think there's only one thing left to say, and that's good night, nerds.